What's up guys, Jerome here from the Bonsai Supply, and today I'm going to talk a little bit more about Adeniums. So there's been a lot of confusion in regards to when do I chop the cortex in half and what is the outcome of doing that. So number one, if you cut the cortex off, you will start to grow a radial root system. So if this is the trunk, the roots will start to come out like that versus growing into that big cortex like a bulb, right? You want to cut this when the tree is ready. So when the tree has a good size trunk, that's when you can do that, because this will now slow down to grow. Also notice the top of my tree has a lot of branches, so it has a lot for me to work with. So that's why I can go ahead and cut this off. Now you don't want to do this with every single desert rose that you come across. This desert rose does not have a very interesting bulb underneath. So the cortex ends right here. So if I cut this off here and then I start working on a radial root system like that, then that's going to be very cool. But if this is very, very interesting, I'd say keep it and incorporate it into your bonsai design. So I'm going to show you two bonsais, two desert roses where this was the case, where I kept the cortex as was and just incorporated it into the bonsai design. So on this desert rose, for instance, it has such an interesting cortex, it would have not been a good idea for me to cut the tree and start working on that root system where the roots grow out like that, right? So here I really wanted to incorporate this, and it looks so much better, and I'm very glad that I actually left it like this. So always incorporate the cortex into the design if it's interesting like this. Let me show you another example. Alright, so this is my squid, and again here I incorporated all of this crazy cortex in here. This again would have not been a good idea to just cut the bottom off. Usually I just cut the bottom off of a desert rose where this is lacking a little bit, you know, and then develop that nice root system like a actual tree. But here, you know, again, you want to keep this. So this tree has a very interesting cortex all the way around, so you definitely want to incorporate this into your design. Alright, so this desert rose is clearly lacking that cool cortex, right? So we're just going to cut it right through here, and then we're going to train the roots to grow out this way and that way and make it look like an actual tree, or like those desert roses that came out of Thailand. So we can copy that cool root system. Now usually I recommend that after you cut it or you repot a desert rose, that you leave the desert rose in the shade to let it dry out for a couple of days. Now since I'm doing this video, I'm not going to have the opportunity to let it dry out, so I'm just going to go ahead and pot it. But this was meant for more like if you guys live more up north where it's not as hot as here, but here it's in the middle of the summer, so I can totally cut the roots, pot it, and then just don't water it and let it dry out that way. If you live up north where it's a little cooler or not as hot as down here, I recommend that you cut it and then let it dry out until it's completely calloused over and then pot it. Down here it's so hot I can totally get away with that with no problem. But it's always better to be safe than sorry. Alright, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the cortex at the bottom to make a nice straight flush cut. Then I'm going to go ahead and wire the entire tree, and then I'm going to pot it into its new pot. Now it looks like I disturbed a ant nest right over here. So when you have an ant nest like that, there's nothing to worry about. So I'm still going to go ahead, cut the roots off. These are not fire ants, thank God for that. So I'm just going to cut the bottom off, pot it, do my regular procedure, and then I'm going to use taro. So it's T-E, I think it's R-O, and that's an ant killer. You put a little drop on a little piece of cardboard and you lay them on top of the root, on top of the soil, and then the ants are going to come, eat that, and bring it back to the queen, and then they're all going to disappear overnight. So ants are not a big deal, but my go-to is always taro. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'll catch you guys in a couple minutes. So now, alright, so now that we finished repotting the tree and styling it, let me tell you a little bit what I did here. So when I work with desert roses, I always use this aquarium tubing, which you can find anywhere, like in PetSmart. And I used that to tie the tree down. And then I wired the tree into position. So I used all the branches that were going straight up like this, and I just wired them out and just gave them some movement. I did not cut any branches back yet. I still need a lot of more branches to come out. But when this tree comes back and starts growing again, I'm gonna get so many more branches, and this is gonna be a really nice big canopy tree. So after I cut it, I was mentioning that usually you should wait a couple days to let it dry out, but since I'm making this video for you guys, I didn't have the luxury of letting it dry out. But since I've done this many times, and I know since it's in the middle of the summer, I can pot it right away and then just not water it. So I'm not gonna water this tree for about 3 to 4 weeks now, so a very long time. I'm gonna let the tree completely dry out. Before I potted it, I let the tree dry out in the shade without a pot for about a month and a half. So this tree is already completely dry. That's why I was able to do all of these crazy bends, and that's why this is not going to be a problem, right? To just chop it and pot it because it's already very dry. As the roots will start to grow out from here, I'm going to show you the next technique when this tree is ready. It's going to shoot out roots all over the soil, and then I'm going to use little plastic tubes like this and wire to keep the roots that come out above the soil, and I'm going to show you how that's done. It's actually a very cool technique, and you can only use that on desert roses. So now what I'm going to do is keep it in the shade for 4 weeks, and then I'm going to start to water once a week until I see green shoots. Once I see little buds popping up everywhere, that's when I'm going to start to water every 3 days. Now it's pushing out the tree, right? Now I get a lot of foliage. I water every 3 days. As soon as I see the flower buds come out, that's when I'm going to water every single day. This is very good free draining soil, which is our all-purpose soil mixture, which we use for everything, and this works magic on desert roses. So I can water it every single day when the tree flowers. Once the tree stops flowering, I'm going to go back to watering every 3 days. And then in the fall, like around Thanksgiving, I stop watering again completely, and I just water about once a month. Now, this is how you take care of an adenium here in the tropics. Wherever you are, just make sure that once the night temperatures drop below 70 degrees, stop watering, you know, and go back to like once a week, once a month. And then once the temperatures drop below like 50, move the tree inside and protect them, because these trees will get like frost bites. So when the cortex will get very soft, that's when you know your tree will start to rot, and that's because of the cold. So I'm very happy the way that this tree turned out today, and I hope I was able to answer, you know, your question regarding the lateral chop, when to do it and why to do it. And I think this tree came out really cool. It's going to be a big canopy, so I'm really happy. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and please subscribe for more awesome videos from us, and I'll catch you guys next time.